Japanese newspaper. Well, it's not as far-fetched as it may seem. In fact, both local San Francisco papers are investing a lot of money to try and get a service just like that started. Science editor Steve Newman reports on one person already using the brand new system. local San Francisco papers are investing a lot of money to try and get a service just like that started. Science editor Steve Newman reports on one person already using the brand new system. fact, both local San Francisco papers are investing a lot of money to try and get a service just like that started. Science editor Steve Newman reports on one person already using the brand new system.
I'm yours. With you. I'm yours. With you.
Hello everyone, this is our first live stream on this channel. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Before we get started with reviewing the renders that were sent over in the email, please let me know where you're from and your name. I just want to say hi to you, to everyone who joined, and thank you personally for joining this live stream. Also, before we get started with reviewing the renders, I just want to give you like a heads up that I don't know how much freedom you had in your design choices when doing the renders. And also, if you send more than one render, I will choose the worst one. That way I have as much input as possible for you and feedback. Also, I won't be able to review all the renders you sent over today. Maybe I will try to review them next week in another live stream. And yeah, also as well, all the renders that were sent with logos, I cut the logos off, but next time I won't include those renders at all. So please don't try to promote any of your businesses and all that. Yeah. Hello from Philippines. Nice to meet you. Glad to have you on the live stream. All right, so let's get started on our first render. I think the first render was sent over. By the way, if I mispronounce your name, I'm sorry and I apologize for that. I'm just gonna try my best. The first render that was sent over is from a routine. I'm gonna pull that up right now. By the way, if there's any problems with sound or music or anything like that, just let me know in the comments and I will try to fix it right away. Alright, so this is the first render that was sent over. So this seems like it's a dining room with a glass table or something similar to that. The first thing that I can notice in this render is that the composition is a bit off. The camera should be a little lower and it should stand parallel to the wall right here. The reason for that is because it's just gives more focus on what you're trying to emphasize in render. And also you should definitely try to, I'm not sure if you're using right now, it doesn't seem like it, but turn on 2-point perspective because it's really important to use that in interior renderings. Also the TV screen, I know I can tell that this TV is from the Enscape library. I usually don't like to use this one because as you can see, it is blurry on the surface and the reflections are just not realistic. So maybe try to get one from the SketchUp warehouse. That could work as well. Also something else that I can tell is that obviously this is not a necessity, but it would help if there was a trim around the edges of the floor. This adds for more detail in your render and it just makes your render look much better. Something else that I noticed as well in the TV is that I think it is too high. Maybe try to lower it a little bit. Obviously this is not something that you have to do, it's just that something that in my eye looks more correct. Hi Jonas, yeah, nice to meet you. Something else that I can notice is that the chandelier looks, it's not the best modeling. I think there can be better modeling of chandeliers in the 3D warehouse. And also, just one second, excuse me. Also, these shelves, I think the shelves are a bit unnecessary to be put right here. I know they're just to break the monotone feeling of the walls, but I just don't see it belonging in this area right here. Other than that, I think there should be more depth to the materials, especially to the walls. There's some good plaster and stucco materials on the Enscape material library as well, so maybe try to use them on the walls as well as the ceilings. Something else that I would suggest is changing these curtains. As you can see, they're not very well modeled, and there's some weird shadows going on right here, or maybe that's part of the modeling, but I'm not sure. So yeah, this is pretty much it for this render. I think there's not much else I can say about it. I'm gonna check the chat once again. Yeah, let me know if you're hearing me fine, if the music's too loud, or if my voice is too low or anything like that. Alright, so I'm gonna move to the next render. This is from ARC 501. Hi, Gens from West London. Hi, nice to meet you. Thanks for letting me know that you're hearing me fine. That's great to know. Something else, so this is an exterior render. I tried to mix up as much as possible with exterior and interior renders. So I can see that this is an attempt to create a night rendering, or even maybe a dawn rendering. The first thing that I can notice from this point of view is that the background is not the highest quality. I think this is a default horizon line from Enscape, mountain, I think, if I'm not mistaken. What I've tried to do is either try to find a good nighttime HDRI, which are kind of hard to find, but if not, then just make the time of day a little later and hide the horizon line with trees or any other type of props that can be used in neighborhoods or any kind of these settings. Let me put my markup up. So try to hide the horizon line and just change the background. If you're not able to find another HDRI, just leave it like this, but turn down. Just make it maybe later during the day. Change the time of the day. Why this stands out is because it's just that the light intensity in the interior as well as on these exterior lights is just too much, and the contrast is too much between the sky lighting and the interior and exterior lighting. Also, something that I can notice, I'm pretty sure that these light sources and these light objects, they're from Enscape Asset Library, but I think they're meant to be used in interiors, so keep that in mind when using your assets. The hedges on the boundaries of the house look fake, and I don't think they're giving the most realistic impression in this render. So maybe try to change that with some fences or something else that would fit. If not, just try to put them a little bit better and just try to put them more in a proper way where it will look more realistic. The cobblestone walkway, I guess I could say, it looks very flat. I would put some depth in it with bump maps or displacement maps. That could work, but also maybe just try to replace the whole material. And the car right here, maybe put a material right here where it is in a way like a driveway, so we know how the car got in, because usually it's not a grass surface set up for where the car goes in. This bamboo tree looks quite random. I would take that out personally. I don't like it. But also maybe will look good if you replace it with another type of tree, but it's much safer if you just exclude it from this render. Honestly, I think that the main issue with this render is the lighting. What I would do is just try to use one sphere light per room and just make it warmer than what the lights are as of now. So just apply a bit of orange color onto it. Yeah, so this is pretty much it for this render. I don't have much to say. how do you solve burnout overexposure result from the artificial light inside? I just mentioned it. So what I would do is just replace these lights with a sphere light on each of the interior rooms, and just apply a warmer color and turn down the intensity. Yes, definitely. I'd use a plaster texture right here as well, because the plaster right now looks too flat, and just turn down the depth of it. The artificial light brightness. The artificial light brightness in the visual settings, I usually keep it the same, because I rarely need to tone down the same amount of intensity for all the light sources in a scene. So what I like to do is just turn down the intensity of the light sources in each light source individually. Yeah. Alright, so let's go on to the next render. The next render is from Kashava, or let me check. Actually, no, it's from Dami. So Dami had some really nice renders. I actually included one of his renders, or both of his renders, in the thumbnails of this video. But out of all the renders, as I said, I'm going to choose the worst one, because that's where I'm going to have the most output and the most feedback to give. So this was one of the renders that was sent over to me by him or her, because I'm not actually sure regarding his gender. Obviously, I can assume his gender is 2022. So right here, the first thing that I can notice is that I think the outline option is turned on a little bit in this render, and I usually never keep it on. Maybe it isn't, and just the chairs have that feeling to it, but I don't know, for some reason in the outlines of the chairs I can tell that there's some lines going on here. If that is on, I would turn it down. Usually the outline option is used for renders where you're going for more maybe cartoonish renders, or renders that you're not aiming for them to be realistic. Something else that I can notice is that the background right here looks blank. I would add an HDRI, or maybe even some vegetation from Enscape to cover it up. The sun looks too strong right here, and is not brightening up enough space of this room. So what I would try to do is turn down the sun brightness at 5% as always. If you watched my previous videos, you know that I like to keep my sun intensity from 5 to 15% when I'm using it. But most of the time in interior renders, I don't use the natural Enscape sun at all. Instead, I use artificial lighting, like the spotlights and all of that. Yeah, so that's one of them. If you're gonna use the natural Enscape sun, I would change the sun orientation, as I said, to cover a larger area of the room, and turn down the brightness. How can we, so another thing that I would add is maybe change a bit the accessories on the tables. So as you can see, this looks kind of dull, at least to me, because first of all, the wood texture is too harsh. Maybe I would use the fade option on this wood texture, so I would tone it down a bit, and also just have more variety of accessories that are on the table. Maybe I don't know, like other types of flowers, bottles of wine, or something else like that. That would work. Something else is that the luminosity on these light bulbs right here doesn't look as realistic as I would like it to look. What I would do is I would either turn it on or tone down the color that it emits. So right now it's kind of emitting a bit of maybe orange, a bit to yellow color. I would tone it down a bit more on the white side of the color. And yeah, also, like, overall, I just think the table, the materials on the chairs, and most of the materials need a lot more reflection and also some depth. So as I said before, try to use the plaster materials from the Enscape asset library, Enscape material library and all that, yeah. recommended rendering software. I always recommend Enscape. Obviously, I'm a bit biased because it's the software that I use. It's very easy to use, it's fast, and all of that. So yeah, try out Enscape, watch some of my videos, and yeah. I have to make separate render of just the hidden line. I like to make separate render of just the hidden line and add it as separate layer in Photoshop and mess with transparency and set layer to multiply. All the renders that I post on my social media and the renders that I use in the videos do not include any post-production. As I mentioned in my earlier videos, I'm not too proficient with Photoshop to actually make the renders better, and every time I try to use Photoshop in my renders, they just end up looking worse. So I'm just gonna keep it at pure Enscape rendering as of now, but that I can imagine how that would work. Alright, so this is pretty much it for this render as well. I'm gonna move on to the next one. Let me check just a bit. So this is the next render that was sent over. This is from a manual. This is another exterior render. As I said, I tried to mix up the renders between exterior and interior, so you get the best of both practices in Enscape. So first thing that I can notice in this render is that the landscape is just too boring. So the whole garden area has one surface applied. What I would do is obviously try to make some more green areas and just have more diversity in the materials that I used in the garden. Something else that I don't like is the variety of materials that are used in these in the exterior parts, and I think this door right here is meant for entrance doors, so we'll try to check that out, maybe change the modeling a bit. These lights as well, these are probably meant for interior rooms, this one as well. Even if you put them in interior, try to model the round part and extrude it so it looks like it's actually connected to electricity in that sense. Something else that I can notice is that the sky looks boring. What I would do is add an HDRI. I always apply HDRIs in my renders. One, because it makes the lighting much more realistic. The sky looks more realistic, and also it's a great way to add realistic horizon line to your renders. As you can notice, the trees that you used over here have lost resolution, and this is a common thing that happens in Enscape when lighting is not correct setup. One good indicator that your lighting is not set up is when your trees look like this and they don't have enough contrast between the green colors between them, and yeah, they just don't look realistic enough. So the main thing that I would change on this render is the lighting and also the landscape. Obviously, I'm not going to give any comments about the design of the house or any of your designs because those are your personal choices, or maybe they were not chosen by you, they were given by whoever ordered the job from you. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep it at that. Also, what I would do to make the image a bit more dynamic is turn on the saturation in the visual settings in Enscape, and also make the tint of the image a bit warmer. The walls, also I want to talk about the walls that are in the boundaries of the house. So I would try to replace the walls with some type of fence or any other type of surrounding that you can add. If that is not possible, at least add some finishing, metal finishing on top of the walls, as well as maybe to break the monotone look of it, add some ivy on top of it. Thoughts on Twinmotion? I actually started using for rendering. Twinmotion is actually quite good. There's a lot of things that I don't like about Twinmotion as of now. I know they're improving a lot, but when it comes to interiors, I think that Enscape is just unbeatable right now when it comes from real-time renderers. Yeah, so this is pretty much it for this render as well. I'm gonna move on to the next one. If you have any questions, please let me know. And also, make sure to like the video, the live stream, I mean, and subscribe to the channel. That way I know that you're enjoying it. I'm trying to make this probably a weekly series or maybe monthly series, depending on how well it performs. And I definitely want to up the production value of these live streams. I think your audio is a bit too low. Is my audio okay? Should I turn up my audio a bit? Can someone let me know if I should turn up my audio a little bit? Audio is good. It's a little low. Okay, let me turn it up a little bit then. Is it better now or is it too much? Okay, let me open up the other render. Okay, thank you. I'm glad it's better. Okay, that's good. Good to know. Thanks for letting me know. All right, so let's move on to the next render. So this one was sent over by Elevate Architects. Okay, how do you achieve very soft shadow from the sun in Enscape? I talk a lot more in detail about this in my lighting video, but I can give you a short brief on it. So obviously I always keep the shadow sharpness at 0% in the visual settings, no matter if it is an interior render or an exterior render. So turn down the shadow sharpness at 0%, and obviously turn down the sun intensity. I always keep the sun intensity anywhere between 5% and 15%. But also try to experiment with artificial lighting and create fake suns, as I like to call them, to not use the natural landscape sun. If you have any other questions, please let me know, because I'll be watching out chat, and I will be definitely answering the questions. Definitely seen the model in the 3D warehouse is something very similar. These kind of designs are very common nowadays. I think is usually from the Eastern world. There's some characteristics that I can tell that give me that vibe, but yeah. So let me move on to what feedback I have for this render. So firstly, what I can notice, maybe this is like too much detail, I'm being too picky, but I'm not sure what these hedges are serving right here, and they just look a bit weird and awkwardly placed. Also, these materials definitely need more depth, and they need bump maps or displacement maps. Even to lower the brightness, so they need more reflection. I would add an HDRI. I think this is the default Enscape sky. I would add an HDRI. I always add HDRIs in my exterior renders, except for when I'm doing night rendering, because it's much easier to get the brightness values in night renderings when I'm using the Enscape sun. I see that a lot in Brazil. Yeah, yeah, that is common in the Latin America as well. The glass here looks good, but I would turn down the specular values a little bit. What I can also notice is that the sidewalks are missing, and if these are meant to be sidewalks, they need curbs and they need to be thicker. The exterior lights look unnatural. How would you improve them? Yeah, I was just getting onto that. So these lights that are in the exterior, so these ones right here and these ones right here, look very unrealistic. What I would do usually, I always suggest to use IES profiles when it comes to spotlights. They're much more realistic than the default Enscape spotlights. Maybe you can even use the Enscape spotlights to get the intensity correct and also the beam angle. I would tweak down the light intensity and also apply an high ES profile. So that's how I would improve the exterior lights. And also, as you can notice right here, as I said, this is an common Enscape fault, and it's an indicator that your lighting is not done very well, is that when trees lose quality and the resolution of them, especially in these orange leaves, you can tell that. Also, something else, when you try to match and when you do landscaping rendering, usually these type of trees come from very different areas than these type of trees come, so they don't belong as close to each other, in my opinion. So if you're going to use palmas, maybe keep using palmas and tropical type of trees. Yes, I don't think there's any bump map applied to the walls or displacement maps or normal maps. I don't think there's a plaster map applied to the walls, and I would personally do that because it just makes the render more realistic. 3 main tips to make a design more realistic. One big tip is composition. I think people underestimate composition a lot and just getting the right angle for renderings. 2, lighting. Just learn how lighting works in general, how when you need more contrast. I myself still try to work with lighting every day because it's something that is tricky and takes a lot of time to master, and materials as well. But honestly, I think materials are a bit easier nowadays because you have PBR materials. You basically just place the maps and you don't have to worry much about the values and all that. So yeah, which is better, bump maps or displacement maps? Each one are used for different instances. So for these type of walls and plasters, I would use bump maps. But for example, in this type of grounding, let me just zoom in a bit. So for this type of grounding, pavement, I would use displacement maps because we need to see the depth between the lines of each block. And I would also use displacement maps on bricks or any type of other similar materials. So yeah, this is pretty much it for this render as well. I think we can move on to the other one. If you have any questions, please let me know. All right, so the next render is from, honestly, I don't know how to pronounce this name. Is spelled ENGR, but I'm just gonna open the render and he or she will probably tell that it's their render. So this is another exterior render. So this one is a lot more brighter than the previous exterior renders that we saw. It has more contrast, which I like, but also it has some flaws that I would change. So the first thing that I noticed is that the sidewalk right here is way too thick and it's missing rounded curves. I always like to add that, and as you can see, the materials that it placed in the sidewalk is just too, it has too much reflection. It just has too much reflection and it needs more depth, definitely more depth. The road looks too narrow as well. I can tell by the scale of the car compared to the road. The HDRI needs to be higher quality. You can tell the quality of the HDRI by the tree that is right here. You can tell that the tree is very low resolution. So also the value of the sun is not matching the brightness of the sky. I'm not sure if the brightest point is set as sun direction, if you remember the option that I just talked about in the latest video that I uploaded. But yeah, bump stays for shadows and displacement gives detailed texture. Yes, definitely. So what I would do is try to, the generic tools make no justice. Yeah, I guess so. It needs better. It needs better rims. Uh, the palm tree on the left look very dark. The shadow. Yes. I was just talking about the contrast of the lighting because I think the sun is set, the sun intensity is set too high, and the HDRI brightness is set too low. So I would try to balance that out. Um, the palm tree here looks a bit forced in a way as well, so I wouldn't place that there. I would put some bushes, maybe lower vegetation, and yeah, but please make sure to change the HRI. I think that is the main component that is missing here. Also, the materials look flat on the exterior, and I would add depth to them. This is something that I'm seeing in almost every render. I think you're underestimating the power of bump maps and displacement maps and just PBR materials in general, because it's not the same. It's not the same to apply a plaster material as just applying a flat color from the SketchUp library. Yeah, no worries. Be safe. PMG. I think it's one, but the only reason to show is because one of the devs has one more. One of these guys too. Yeah. There's a lot of supercars that are included in the Enscape asset library, so I'm not sure if that's the reason, but yeah. Alright, so this is pretty much it for this render as well. We're gonna move on to the next one. I think the next one is an interior render, so let me open it up real quick. So this one was sent over by Hari Yulianto. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. So this render, what I have to say for this render is, firstly, the resolution that it was taken is too low. I think is 1280 by 720. Yes, GTI is king. Thank you. So the first thing I would change is obviously the resolution, and I would make the composition of the render better. So I would do that by turning up the field of view and make the perspective as 2 points view. And maybe go to the corner of the room where you can capture a bit more of the area, because right now you're not capturing the whole bed and you're not parallel to this cupboard, and there's just no main focal point to be rendered. What I can also say is that there's no proper exterior lighting. I think you try to play around with spotlights and fake lighting, if I'm not mistaken, because I can see there's a lot of exposure right here of the lighting. But also the HDRI is low quality. You can see that it's very blurry. Yeah, the modelings are low quality, I can tell. I would use higher quality models, because this bed is not the best modeling out there in the SketchUp warehouse. You can definitely find better models as well as this. So the thing is that I wouldn't place this right here, because naturally if someone is sitting in a cushion, there would be wrinkles and it would just be pushed down, and there's no way you can get that effect with Enscape as of now. Or you can probably get it. There's probably some SketchUp experts out there that can get it done, but it's just too much of a hassle for me. At least I wouldn't do it. Yeah, so also the line lights that are included here and in the shelves right here look very fake. I would take them off, especially right here, because I don't think they have really much of a purpose. But if you want to keep them, just try to not put this color on them. It's way too yellow and it's way too strong, and they just need to look more subtle. So yeah, not much else to say for this render. Obviously I like to stay away from using these accessories because everyone that uses Enscape can tell that these are some of the original accessories from way back when Enscape got out. Yeah, if you have any questions or anything that you'd like to add regarding this render, please let me know. So yeah. Alright, so I'll move on to the next render. So this one was sent over by sorry, excuse me. This one was sent over by Jonas Flores. So this is another exterior render, and it's a nighttime render. I think this one is a bit better than the previous one that we checked over. First thing that I can notice in this one is that it's set at 3 points perspective, and it would just make it much better in 2 points perspective. So how to hide spotlight effect on walls. I'm not sure if the best target or the best goal in this render would be to hide them. What I would try to do is just have higher quality spotlights. As I said, just try to use IS profiles. Everyone that's asking where you can submit, you can check my latest, I mean not the latest, but the recent community post that I did about this, announcing the live stream, and also my Instagram. So just at scale.3d, you can find one of my recent posts where I give the instructions on how you can submit. But the short way around is just send your renders at info@scale3d.org, and I will make sure that in next live streams I will review them. So as I was saying, I don't think the goal here is to hide the spotlights on the walls. I just think they need to be higher quality, and for that we can use IES profiles. Something else that I would do is make the sky even darker, because the brightness and the values of these light sources are just way too much for the sky to be this bright. Also, something else that I noticed is that the spotlights, where they are emitted in the ground, they have a bit of boundaries, and this makes them look not very realistic. This is something that can also be fixed by IS profiles. Thank you, Lautaro. So have a nice day. Yeah, have a great weekend as well. Looking forward to seeing you back here next weekend or whenever the next live stream will be. I can tell that you use randomization on this vegetation part. What I would do is also mix up the type of vegetation that is. So yeah, Andrew Toms, I just received the mail. You can see it in my stream right here. 1 second. I cannot check them out in this live stream, but probably in the next one I will try my best to. All right. Other than this, for this render, there's not much I can say. The materials are much better than the previous renders we look. As you can see, there's a big difference of using flat materials and using depth and plaster materials right here. Yeah, other than that, this render is quite good, or at least it needs less improvements than the other renders. So let's move on to the next one. I think this one is the final one for the day. How to do velvet effect like in V-Ray. The velvet, or whatever, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but I know what you mean by the velvet effect. So that is a material that is used usually on couches or stuff like that. The best way to get that is by using lighting and detail lighting, but obviously it's quite hard to get it on Enscape. But obviously it's worth a try because it really improves your renders a lot. Just make sure to have your expectations lower than V-Ray, because V-Ray and Enscape are very two different render engines, and the output is very different as well. Alright, so let's move on to the final render for today. This one is from Unita Gaze. So I'm not sure again if I pronounced it correctly. Thank you for submitting this render as well. Let me make it a little lower. You're welcome, architect. Yeah. Hopefully the feedback was helpful, and also to everyone that I reviewed the work of today, make sure to let me know if you're gonna make the changes and send the feedback change send the renders with the changes so uh, we can see how it improved or if it looks better. All right, so this one. So this render is an interior render. Main thing I can notice immediately is that the sun intensity is too high and it's just burning the image with a very strong orangish tint. The sun is too strong, but also the materials look flat as well, just like in most of the other renders, and they need more reflection, especially the wood, the floor, as well as the walls. So overall, every material need more reflection. You can do that by lowering down the roughness option, if you don't know that, but yeah. The spotlights look not very good. What I think you've done here is you've put sphere lights. Maybe I'm wrong, but it looks like a sphere light source. Maybe that's an attempt for you to make the light object lit up. You can do that by using emissive lighting as well. So yeah. The color, yeah. Yeah, other than that, also these line lights look fake and I'm not a fan of them. I would take them off completely, or if you want to keep them, I would just tone them down to more whitish and a bit on the orange nuances as well. Yeah, but I just think that sometimes it's not always the fault of the rendering engine or the rendering settings. Sometimes it's also the design choices, because I just think that it's too, like this scene right here has too much objects, too much materials, and these ones also are repetitions of objects, which I'm not a fan of. If you've watched my video, I always recommend randomization. But yeah. All right, so this was the last render that we reviewed. If you have any questions, please let me know right now in the comment section before we leave. And yeah, I will hang out a few more minutes right here. Something else that I want to add, as I said, feel free to send the results with the suggestions I made, just so we can see how it affected the renders. And let me know if I should make this a weekly series or a monthly series, or if you found it helpful at all. So yeah. I can see that the stream had almost 400 views, which is not that bad. It was the first live stream that I did ever. Thank you. See you soon as well. So I just want to say thank you for everyone who joined in the first live stream on this channel. I would really appreciate your input, your feedback on the live stream, as I gave you feedback on the renders, and I will see you in the next videos. There's a lot of videos planned, by the way. I have a full schedule of videos. I'm trying to upload at least twice a week with full-on long videos, and I'm trying to upload shorts every day. Shorts are doing really well on this channel, so yeah. Could you please make a complete series of Enscape? I'm trying to do that, but I'm also probably I'm planning to launch a course on late September, early October. So you should watch out for that. I think it's gonna be pretty good. Hope to see this more. Thank you. We'll definitely try to put this more. I will submit a few more for the next week. Please try to not submit more than one render, since I will not review more than one render from one person, because I want to give the chance to review as much people as always. Yeah. Thank you. Looking forward for the next one. Thank you for joining in. We'll definitely have another one of these. Thanks for your previous helpful content. Thank you. I appreciate your nice words. Yes, I also have a TikTok that I'm trying to upload in it. I'm not too good on it, but my Instagram reels are doing good. The YouTube shorts are doing good. The TikTok is starting to get some attention. So yeah, you can find my TikTok is at scale 3D. So yeah, thank you, bro. I'm always learning on your videos. I appreciate it. I'm always trying to do the most value on these videos. So thank you very much. All right, so I'm gonna leave. Thank you for joining, and I will see you on the next videos. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.